Welcome back to OT Sports. Today we got our Week 10 Power 40 College Basketball rankings. Um, Before we get started, I just want to say if you're new around here, make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you're new, turn on the notification bell to make sure that you don't miss out on any of our new videos. We got loads of content around here this time of year. College basketball, college football, NFL, and NBA every single week. Now the college football content is going to start to slow down. We will have one probably our last video for a couple weeks for college football. Um, we will have a college football video coming out tomorrow, just recapping the national championship game. That game is today, so very exciting. I already posted my predictions. Make sure you go check that out. Um, and yeah, so that will probably slow down, but NFL and NBA will continue to keep on going. Um, as always, my Discord and X are linked in the description. Make sure you join that, follow that, whatever you like to do. But enough with all that kind of stuff. Let's just get right into the Power 40. So we're gonna start at the bottom. Number 40, I got TCU. I had them at 40 last week. I didn't move them, and I said it last week. I said I'm gonna give them a chance because I was about to move them out of the top 40. But last week I said I'm gonna give them a chance. They play Kansas. We'll see what they can do. And they went into Allen Fieldhouse and really got the game stolen away from them. They lost by 2, but they were in control. I don't want to say in control, but they were in that game for the majority of it. They actually led for pretty much most of the second half, and they had the game right there, up to with like a minute and a half left. They end up losing. But they looked really good, so I kept them at 40, even with the loss. They're still 11-3. Yeah, they're looking like a really good team. Utah at 39 and Colorado at 38. Two very similar teams, in my opinion. Both in the Pac-12, both with 11-4 records. They're very similar in KenPom. Utah, 27th in offense. 58th in defense, and then for Colorado, 33rd in offense, 48th in defense. I think Colorado's just all around a little bit better. Utah does have the better win, though. You could switch these two interchangeably. They're very close for me. Northwestern at 37. They got a nice win against Michigan State, so I think I moved them up like 2. They're still kind of just sitting around in this area. They're not the best KenPom-wise, but they're 11-3 in the Big Ten. That's pretty good. They have a win over Purdue. Like I said, they just beat Michigan State. So, it is what it is. I don't know if they're going to be a legit tournament team. We will see. Because, Big Ten plays continuing to ramp up. James Madison at 36. They finally lost. Their undefeated season comes to an end. And yeah, I dropped them quite a bit. They were kind of sitting at the 26-30 range for the past couple weeks. I didn't feel like ranking them in the top 25, just because besides Michigan State, they don't have any other good win. They've really been squeaking by these lackluster teams. They finally lost to Southern Miss, and looking at efficiency, they're just not impressive. 61st in offense, 113th in defense. That's just not really good. I dropped them down to 36. I still have inside the top 40. They still are 14-1, I believe, but they did lose, so they did have to get bumped down quite a bit. Providence at 35th, and I think Providence is still a very solid team here in the Big East. They did just lose to Seton Hall, but Seton Hall's kind of been pretty hot. The offense for Providence really does concern me, however. 155th in offense, that's just not going to get done. But 4th in defense, that could carry them to win some games they maybe shouldn't win. They're still 11-4. They have some nice wins. They just, kind of had a tough week, losing to Seton Hall and Creighton. So I had to bump them down quite a bit with the 2 losses. Seton Hall, like I said, 34, they're right above Providence. They beat Providence just this past week. And Seton Hall, 3 of their last 4 games they've won. And in 3 of their last 4 games, they beat UConn, then they lost to Xavier on the road. They beat Providence on the road, and then they beat Marquette. Those are all very good wins for Seton Hall. This team is kind of a team, if they can, not lose the games that they should win, because they're winning some games that they definitely shouldn't win. If they can figure that out, this team could be very dangerous. They're at 10-5 right now, and I'm really liking what I'm seeing from Seton Hall. They're looking like a very dangerous team here in the Big East. Um, Efficiency wise, not the best. 62nd in offense, 84th in defense, but I mean they've I mean the Pat like I said, 3 of their last 4 games they beat UConn, Providence, and Marquette. So that's just you can't just ignore that. Iowa State lost this weekend to Oklahoma. That was a really tough game for them. I'm still pretty high on this Iowa State team. If I'm being honest, this team, the defense has always been there. I feel like this team is always just a lockdown defend. And they went into Oklahoma. They lost by 8. Oklahoma's a really good team. Iowa State is still very high in efficiency. 52nd in offense, 5th in defense. I feel like the offense gets better and better as we keep looking at this every week. This is a team come tournament time I would not want to play. If they can figure out the offense a little bit more, this team could be very dangerous. Miami at 32. I just don't know what to think about this team. They've been kind of sitting in this range. They just lost to Wake Forest. They're 18th in offense, 121st in defense. Like I said, I just don't know. Wake Forest, 11-3 record, and they just beat Miami. They're obviously they're definitely a better team than Miami. They just won 23rd in offense, 83rd in defense. That's a lot better than Miami's numbers. And Wake Forest could potentially get up into the top 25 soon if they continue to win. They're at 11-3, so they're putting together a really nice start to the season. We're almost halfway through already, which is crazy. Nevada at 30. They continue to win. They're at 14-1, and they continue to move up the rankings, being in the Mountain West. It's a pretty tough conference this year. There's a lot of really good teams in the Mountain West, but Nevada, 14-1, and yeah, like I said, they continue to move up. 57th in offense, 30 in defense. That's pretty solid all around. Cincinnati at 29 in the Big 12. The Big 12 is once again just the dominant conference. Just the best conference by far. But yeah, Cincinnati, they just got a big win. I'm forgetting who it was. Let me look really quick because I know they just got a pretty solid win this weekend. Yeah, they just beat BYU on the road. That's a really good win. BYU is a team that was top 3 in efficiency heading into that game. Cincinnati now, number 27 in KenPom rankings, 53rd in offense, 25th in defense. That's overall very solid. They got a 12-2 record. Like I said, they just beat BYU, and tomorrow they have a game against Texas at home. I do expect them to win that game. Texas is a team that I'm not very high on. I really haven't liked what I've seen. They don't have a ranked win still, and they just lost to Texas Tech. It's not looking good for Texas. I think Cincinnati can win that game, and if they do, they will probably be bounced up into the top 25 next week. They also have a game on the road against Baylor. We'll see how they do there. Baylor is a very good team. Dayton at 28. Dayton's a team that hasn't been in the top 40 since, I think maybe the first week of these rankings, but they continue to win. They're at 12-2 now, and Dayton is one of those teams that in the A10, I think they should be the favorite to win the A10 right now. There's not really much other teams in this conference. It's kind of just a down year for them. They really haven't had multiple teams make the tournament. Well, I guess that's not true, but really multiple teams make the tournament over 2 or 3 in recent years. They used to be a lot better, but now it's really just Dayton, I think. Maybe George Mason, maybe Loyola if they put together some wins. But Dayton, number 15 overall offense, but, just outside the top 100 in defense. They got to figure out the defense problem, because if they can do that, this team will be a legitimate threat come tournament time. Texas at 27. Like I said, I'm not very high on them. 40th in offense, 54th in defense. They just lost to Texas Tech. They still don't have a good win. Looking at their resume right now, I'm trying to find their best win. It's probably LSU, but that team's never been in the top 40. That's probably their best win. LSU is 9-5. I considered them last week, but they weren't in the top 40. So this is a team who doesn't have a top 40 win. Is 11-3. They've lost to every good team they played, and now they have to go on the road to Cincinnati tomorrow. That's going to be a really tough one. If they can win that, then maybe I'll start to get on board with them. But they're going to have a really tough test later this month. They got Baylor, Oklahoma, BYU, and Houston all in a row. That will really prove to me how legit this team is. Max Abmas is obviously a problem. He's obviously great for them, but it's not looking good. For Texas Tech, however, it is looking good. 12-2. I actually didn't even know that they were doing this good. Their only losses are to Villanova and Butler, two teams that just missed the top 40 this week. They were right outside, along with teams like Alabama, South Carolina, Grand Canyon, a couple others I'm forgetting. Arkansas, Michigan State obviously was considered. Oregon. So there's a lot of teams that I'm thinking about. Florida, Ohio State, Texas A&M. See, I'm just thinking of them off the head. New Mexico. So there's a lot of teams just just outside the top 40 that I definitely considered. But back on Texas Tech, they're looking really good. They're at 26 now. They obviously went into Texas on the road and beat them by 11. That was a really good win for them. Like I said, I didn't know this team was 12-2, but they are. Their leading scorer is Pop Isaacs. He's been really good, along with Joe Toussaint. Toussaint, I think that's how you say it. I don't know if I'm saying that right. They've both been really good for them. They're both averaging a combined 30 points per game. And Texas Tech is a team that could make some noise in the Big 12 if they continue to play the way they're playing. They could definitely do some big things. Moving into the top 25, though, Ole Miss, I still have Ole Miss at 25. This might be a little bit high. I wanted to keep them inside the top 25. They don't really have much good wins. They have a win over Memphis. They have a win over UCF. UCF's a pretty decent team at 9-4. They have some alright wins. Like I said, they beat Memphis. They beat NC State. That's looking like a better win. NC State was just outside the top 40. And they got handled pretty well. I mean, they lost by 26 on the road to Tennessee. So they got handed their first loss. Now Wednesday they play Florida. That's going to be a really good game. Both those teams are. Florida was considered for the top 40. Ole Miss obviously at 25. That would be another big test for them. But like I said, I maybe could have moved them lower, but I decided to keep them at 25. They still have a very good resume when looking at it, not resume, but record. They have a decent resume. It's not anything, crazy. Efficiency-wise, it's not the best either, but I still think this team is a very solid team. 60th in offense, 130th in defense. This team might struggle moving forward in SEC play. But the win over Memphis, that's a pretty good win. So I don't know. This team's a little strange. Gonzaga at 24. I don't know, man. They're 11-4. They probably should have some more wins than that. 22nd in offense, 39th in defense. That's a pretty good efficiency rating. But, like I said, I don't know. Kind of inconsistent. Same with FAU. They're very inconsistent. 11-4. 13th in offense, 59th in defense. The defense is getting better, but they still continue to lose these games that they just shouldn't lose. They should be able to take care of business better than they have. They lost to Charlotte on the road. They have a loss to FGCU. They have a loss to Bryant. If it weren't for those, I mean, their only other loss is to Illinois, and they have a win over Arizona on the road. I mean, basically on the road. I don't think it was at Arizona, but it was in Vegas, so it's a lot closer to Arizona. Um, yeah, I don't know. This team is just very inconsistent. They got to figure it out. 22, Creighton. They're a team that's always high in efficiency. They're 20th in offense, 20th in defense. That's very good. Um, and I have them back in the top 25 this week. I think they deserve it. They beat Providence, like I said. I said if they beat Providence, I'd probably move back into the top 25. They did that. And they got DePaul this week, and then a home game against St. John's. St. John's was another team I considered for the top 40. They just missed the cut, but St. John's is definitely a hard game. If they can continue to win, they'll, move up. Clemson at 21. They just lost to UNC at home. The offense looked just terrible, if we're being honest, for Clemson in that game. Which is weird because the offense is usually pretty good. They're 21st in offensive efficiency, 50th in defense. They only put up 55 points at home. You just can't do that. Just didn't play an all-around great game. It was close for a while, though. Colorado State lost to Utah State on the road this week. They picked up a nice win earlier in the week, though, against New Mexico. But I did have to drop them just because of, their loss to Utah State. But looking at the Mountain West, they have a lot of very good teams this season. Potentially 6 tournament teams if Boise State starts to make some noise. I think as of right now, I would leave Boise State out, and I'd probably just have Utah State, San Diego State, Nevada, Colorado State, New Mexico. But Boise State could definitely make some noise. If they still had BYU, they would be one of the best conferences in the in college basketball. So, but yeah, Colorado State loses this one to Utah State, and now I have them sitting at 20. Efficiency wise, 12th in offense, 71st in defense. That's pretty solid. Utah State, like I said, just beat Colorado State. They're at 19 now, and yeah, I mean 14-1. I didn't realize that they had that good of a record. If I did, they probably would have been in the top 40. 59th in offense, 41st in defense. That's pretty solid. If they can get that up a little bit, I'll feel more confident about them. And then the third Mountain West team in a row, San Diego State. I think they're probably the best team all around. 46th in offense, 11th in defense, though. San Diego State did struggle a little bit earlier in the season. They lost to BYU, second game of the year on the road. However, that's pretty tough. They did beat Gonzaga on the road, though. Their only losses to Grand Canyon, who, again, was very close to making the top 40. And yeah, they continue to win. They're now 13-2. Really like what I'm seeing from the San Diego State team. BYU moves down after losing the game to Cincinnati, but I still have them at 17. And they got a game tomorrow on the road against Baylor. That's going to be a tough one. We'll see what they can do there. Efficiency-wise, the numbers love them. 19th in offense, 6th in defense. They're 9th overall. That's really good for a BYU team. Now, their strength of schedule is very low. They really haven't played too many people. Like I said, they beat San Diego State. They beat NC State, who I consider, but they do have a loss to Utah and Cincinnati. So there is that. Auburn continuing to move up the rankings, and I'm telling you, this team has what it takes to win the SEC, and that's crazy to say with me having there's two SEC teams inside the top 6, but I think this team definitely has what it takes to win the SEC. You also have teams like Ole Miss at 25, Texas A&M, Arkansas, Florida, Mississippi State, all considered for the top 4 or top 40. Same with Alabama. Georgia's winning some games. South Carolina as well. The SEC this year is loaded. I mean, the fact that LSU is probably their third worst team and they're 9-5 is pretty crazy. But Auburn, I mean, they continue to win. They're at 5 overall in efficiency, ninth in offense, ninth in defense. That is ridiculously good. This Auburn team is dangerous. I would watch out for them. I would not want to play them right now. Bruce Pearl is coaching them up. Wisconsin at 15. They continue to take care of business in the Big Ten. Now they go on the road to Columbus to take on the Buckeyes. That's going to be a tough one for them. But I think they should be able to do that. I think they're definitely the better team than Ohio State, unfortunately. They're 7th in overall offense, 35th in defense. So, you know, Ohio State's offense has been pretty good this season. So, but the defense being in the top 40, that's really good. So I think they should be able to win that. Baylor got a struggle win on the road against Oklahoma State to kick off Big 12 play. Now they have this weekend. They have BYU and Cincinnati, both home games. If they can win those two, I'll maybe get back on the Baylor train. I did move them up quite a bit because I have to keep them ahead of Auburn. They beat Auburn. They have some questionable losses. They also beat Seton Hall, though. That's looking like a better win now. But they did lose to Michigan State and Duke. So this Baylor team's kind of had a lot of ups and downs. Memphis at 13. They're 13-2. They continue to win. They're really high. Not really high, but they're pretty high in KenPom. It's as of right now, they're looking like the best team in the American. They're looking better than FAU. I have them ranked higher. They're 71st in offense, 32nd in defense. Not the best. This Memphis team, I feel like might struggle in March, but I don't know. It's the American's just a bad conference, so we're not going to see them really get challenged too much. Duke at 12, they continue to take care of business after having a slow start to the year. It's looking, this Duke team, like I said, they're kind of one of those teams I'm really coming around on. I like them more every single week. 14th in offense, 23rd in defense. Like I said, if you're top 20 in both offense and defense, you are definitely a real national title contender, and Duke is just outside that. And they could definitely get into the top 20 in defense. They're only 3 spots out. Oklahoma at 11. This was a team. These top 12, I feel like are kind of starting to separate a little bit. At least as of now. Now, I don't want to say there's not. I don't want to say the top 12 teams are all even because that's obviously not accurate. But the top 12 teams were really the only teams I considered putting in the top 10. Oklahoma just beat Iowa State. That was a huge win for them. I'd like to see just a little bit more now. I know they're ranked 9th in the AP poll. I know that people aren't going to like that I don't have them in the top 10. I just want to see a little bit more. And this week they have the chance to prove it to me. They have TCU and Kansas both on the road, both teams inside the top 40, and both very tough conference games, obviously, with both being on the road. They can win one of those. They would probably be in the top 10. If they can win both, they will most certainly be in the top 10. Those are their 2 games this week, and that's going to be a huge test for the Sooners. Looking at efficiency, this is where I kind of don't like them as much. 43rd in offense, 14th in defense. They're ranked 20th overall, so that's obviously very good, but it's just not it's just not impressive, not as impressive when you're looking at the top 10 teams, efficiency-wise, resume-wise, record-wise, all of that. So I got Oklahoma at 11. Moving into the top 10, I have Illinois still at 10. They're 6th in offense, 18th in defense. That is as one of the best. They're one of the best teams in the country. They're 7th overall efficiency-wise. I have them at 10. They beat Northwestern by 30, a team who I have in the top 40, and then they lost to Purdue by 5 on the road. That is really good. They almost came back. They were losing as bad as 20. They really fought back by the end, and the final score will probably make it seem closer than it was, but it is only a 5-point loss. it is only a 5-point loss on the road against the number one team. So Illinois, I still have inside the top 10. I have to keep Marquette above them. I really considered moving Marquette to 11, but I just couldn't do it with Marquette having the win over Illinois. They're 26th in offense, 12th in defense, 11-4 now, and their resume is one of the best in the league in the sport. So it's really hard to kind of ignore that. They did lose on the road against Seton Hall. It was only by 3. It was a very back and forth game, and Seton Hall looks like a really good team. Marquette's got only Butler this week. Now Butler is a good team. They were just outside the top 40, but it is a home game. They should be able to win that. If they don't, they won't be in the top 10 next week. I can tell you that. UNC at 8. They went to Pitt and Clemson this week and won both by double digits. Good for them. They're looking really good. 11th in offense, 16th in defense. They're looking like a legit team. Definitely the best team in the ACC as of right now. Arizona at 7. They took care of business this week with, dominating wins over Colorado and Utah, both teams that were within my, I think, 26 to 30 range. Two very good teams, and they dominated both. Now, they were at home for both those games, but they looked really good in them. Efficiency-wise, 5th in offense, 3rd in defense. You can't really get much better than that. They're one of only 4 teams to be top 10 in both offense and defense efficiency. So that's obviously very good. Kentucky at 6. I moved them down one spot, and that's not that they did anything wrong. It's just kind of my fault. I should have had Tennessee above them last week. Made the change. They did have a struggle game on the road against Florida, but Florida's a really good team. And road games in conference are always tough. Kentucky, 8th in offense, 43rd in defense. If they can get a little bit better on defense, that's kind of what's worrying me. The defense just doesn't look as good as I would like it to. They can get that up a little bit, I will definitely feel more confident in Kentucky making it far this season. Come tournament time, Tennessee at 5. They just dominated Ole Miss, a team who I had, I think, inside the top 20 last week. And 24th in offense, 2nd overall defense. That's very solid. I'd like to see more out of Zakai Ziegler, like I said, but Dalton Knecht has been very good for them. So I got him at 5. UConn, I have still at 4. I would love to put them ahead of Kansas because I am getting worried about Kansas. But Kansas did beat them. Now UConn was probably the better team in that game. They were on the road and they only lost by 4. They're 3rd in offense, 37th in defense. That does concern me a little bit. That's kind of the big outlier with all these top teams efficiency-wise. That's kind of the I don't know, just that right there is really just sticking out to me. 37th in defense and your top 14. That does worry me a little. Although they got Tristan Newton back. Donovan Clingan's been really good. Cam Spencer, he's been really good too. This team is got a lot of great players, and they will definitely have a chance to repeat. I don't know if I'm on board with that quite yet, but they definitely will have a chance. Kansas at 3rd. I moved them down. They struggled at home against TCU. I'd like to see them win by a little more than that. Especially that game was just close throughout, so that is a little worrisome. And like I said, they're not high in efficiency. They're 16th overall in efficiency, 35th in offense, 7th in defense. They got to get the ball moving a little more on offense. It's really just Kevin McCullough, Hunter Dickinson, KJ Adams, and nobody else. This team just doesn't have depth. And come tournament time, that does worry me because depth is one of the most important things in the NCAA tournament. Houston at 2, they move up 1. They're still undefeated. They dominated West Virginia in their first Big 12 game. But this week, they go on the road to play Iowa State and TCU. That's a tough little road stretch right there. I do expect them to win both of them, but I could definitely see them losing one of them. Now, both of those teams are in the top 40. Don't overlook them, Houston. I mean, they're 10th in offense, 1st in defense. Very, very good. I just am a little worried because that's really their first test. Um, that's just I mean it just is that's really their first test this whole season. They have the 236th best strength of schedule compared to teams like Purdue with fourth overall strength of schedule, Arizona with the sixth, North Carolina with the ninth. I mean, it's just nowhere near anybody else in this top 10. Um, so this is going to be their first true test. Now I'm interested to see how they play. I'll definitely be watching both of those games. And then Purdue still at one. They just look like the best team. They beat Illinois. Really, pretty much was in control for the whole game against Illinois. Illinois did come back late, but Purdue held them off. Zach Edey continues to do his thing. Braden Smith, Fletcher Lawyer, and now Lance Jones is really stepping up a little the past couple games. They got a lot of guard play now, which was what they were lacking last season, and now they have that. This team, it's hard to get on board with Purdue in the tournament just because they lose early so much, but as of right now, I mean, this team looks different than the past 2 years with Zach Edey. So, I don't know, it's just a little bit of thought. If they have a bad shooting night, though, it's going to be tough for them because it's really just Zach Edey and their guards, their shooters around him. But this team is built very well. Second in offense, eighth in defense. I got them at number one. I think they've been the best team so far through 10 weeks. So yeah, that's going to do it for the Week 10 Power 40 College Basketball Rankings. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you leave a like on it. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Turn on the notifications to make sure you don't miss out on any of our uploads. We got college basketball, college football, NFL, NBA every single week. As always, my Discord and X are linked in the description. You can join that, follow that, whatever you'd like to do. And I will see you guys tomorrow with our national championship game reaction. Hope it's a great game tonight. Very excited for it. And very excited for this week of college basketball. It's probably the toughest week of rankings we've done so far. And yeah, the season's really heating up. Conference play gets starting. Very exciting stuff. We'll see you guys tomorrow with college football, national championship game reaction. And I'll see you guys later in the week, Wednesday with NFL, and then probably Thursday with NBA. Should be a pretty fun week. All 4 videos coming out, so back on the normal schedule. So yeah, enough talking. I'll let you guys get out of here. See you guys tomorrow with college football.